That would be ridiculous if we did an 8-hour show.
Welcome back to Hot Takes. We've been off. Have we been off for a while? It's been at least a full week.
No, I think we were off. We were on last week.
Bye.
Didn't we have one?
No,
No,
I think we skipped the bye week.
We
There
skipped
wasn't
the
much to
bye
talk
week.
about.
Okay, but we were on 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, we
yeah.
were on 2 weeks ago.
I
Yeah,
feel
I
like,
named this.
I think it's because so much has happened, and like the emotions have gone like this since the last time we were on.
Yeah, it really. I don't think having a bye week one. It basically would have just been you guys festering on your negative emotions
True.
from the Carolina game. So I think it's probably good we took a week off. But I don't even know what episode we're on now. I have Hot Takes episode number I forget.
I think it's 5 or 6. I'm pretty sure. I don't know. All of our loyal fans will tell us though. They'll be like,
It's
I
something.
know, like Jake Mark 23, and he's the only one I can think of.
well, listen, let's jump into it.
There's been more episodes in the Garbage Gang now, though. That's
True.
all that matters.
It's true.
Fuck
Listen,
Joe.
that was a fun win. That was as fun. That was as exciting, I guess, I've been in a long time. Just watching a game, carrying no feelings or effects afterwards. Just watching purely a football game in a vacuum. That was an awesome one.
That was definitely the best game of the week, for sure.
It was.
And there were a lot of good games this week. There a lot of those 1 o'clock games came down to the wire. I mean, there were so many good ones, but yeah, I mean, you couldn't beat that. That was an incredible game, an incredible win. I mean, we talk about this all the time. Is it just me or Jason? But like, do the Cowboys always play in the best games? Like, even though you hate the Cowboys, every time you watch a Cowboys game, it's awesome.
Oh yeah. And whoever they play, it seems like it's the biggest stage, like the sun setting the right way. And it's always coming down to that like final beautiful pass to like whether it's intercepted or what. It is. I totally agree. I always like when they're a 4:15 game, I know I'm getting an awesome football game. It's not going to be like Bengals Ravens, like cool 6-3 going into the fourth quarter. Another barn burning piece of shit from the AFC North.
And you care more too when you're facing when you're watching a team play that you just love to watch lose,
Sure.
and you love to watch Jerry Jones go home sad. It makes it that much better, and you get that much more into it.
No, that brings us to just the tweet of the week. I told you I wanted to keep doing this. I only have one this week because honestly, this one was so good that I couldn't. I don't want to bring.
I know what this one is because I've been thinking about this all week too.
I hope it is. It's Mac from Always Sunny, Rob McElhaney, and he said, "More than the Eagles winning, I enjoy watching Jerry Jones sulk out of his box like a 1,000-year-old baby."
Round of applause for that one.
That's
a 1,000-year-old baby. He really looks like a 1,000-year-old baby. It's so true. Or like a ton of snot got stuck in like some type of hyperbaric chamber and got fused together. Can't decide. But anyway, where are the Eagles now? And where do we go from here? Have we turned a corner? Are we going to get crushed by the Dolphins? What are you looking at? Austin.
I think they're trending upwards. For 2 games in a row, Bradford's looked competent. He's made some throws. The running game's gotten better. The O-line's getting better. I think they're clearly the best team in the NFC East. And I don't know how much that's saying, but they dominated the Giants. The Cowboys are done, and the Redskins are the Redskins. I don't see any reason why they shouldn't win the division.
Yeah, the Redskins are the Redskins from the same guy who said in week 3, I don't know, think the Redskins could win the division.
Well, I thought anybody could win the division. It's like the AFC South. At that point, everybody looked so bad.
And then they beat the Eagles, so I don't know. I mean, or they had already beat the Eagles at that point, I think, or something. I don't know. I'm bad at math.
What do you think, Porter?
I think that they're gonna. I think the next 2 games, this would be a classic slip up. Oh no, just come off a huge win against a division rival, Sunday Night Football, slip up to a bad team in the Dolphins. But what the Eagles need to do on offense is they need to be able to run the ball. They showed that the other night. Once they can get the run going, it really opens up the entire offense. I think it was the last 3 games they've rushed for 150 yards. The only other team in that span that has rushed for more is the Rams, and Todd Gurley's just been a monster. and
He gets
also
50 handoffs a game because they don't trust Foles to make
exactly.
one.
So they run the ball probably more so than any other team, maybe Carolina, but no, I think that what Miami does is not good at. The Eagles happen to be hitting their stride in that category, and it will really make things easier on the offense in general. I mean, Carlos Williams and LaShawn McCoy just destroyed
Yeah.
the Dolphins the other day. They each had 100-yard games, which is, I mean, unheard of for two running backs to have 100-yard games. Carlos Williams had like 9 carries. He had like 120 yards and 2 touchdowns.
Yeah. They should destroy this team up front. They really should.
Yeah, so, I mean, realistically, I think on paper, the Eagles should blow them out. I think it will probably be a little bit closer just because I still don't think the offense has really that pull-away capability. Even in the games where you felt like they should have, they don't turn on until the second half. So I do think that I think they beat the Dolphins. I think that they beat the Buccaneers too. I think they'll be 6-4 going into the Patriots game. But I've also had a little bit more optimism.
7-4. They face the Lions too.
Oh, the Lions, right? Oh, okay, shit. So yeah, I think they
trip up game, and I don't see
that is the one game that I think that because it's on a short week because it's on Thanksgiving, right?
Yeah.
Short week before the Patriots, highly confident, and as bad as the Lions have been, they have weapons that these other teams do not have. Tampa has, Jameis Winston's still really young. Mike Evans has been dropping balls. They do have a decent run game, but Miami and Tampa are bad teams for a reason. You look at their rosters and you understand why and how they played so far. Even though Miami was supposed to be really good coming into the year, they don't have any coaching. The Lions is the one. I agree with Jason. I think the Lions is the one team that could potentially upset the Eagles. They've had some really close games this year that they should have won.
The short week is the great equalizer too.
I don't agree that the Lions could upset us. Actually, I was just saying that's what I've heard.
I think they can only because I know that they have had games where they have looked like the worst team in the league this year, but also they played some really close games early on. The Seattle game, and things tend to look like they're falling apart there. But there's got to be one of these 3 games where they slip up, and I don't see. What's that?
I think it's the Bucs.
The Bucs.
It's because it's a more mobile quarterback, a guy that has the ability to extend.
He's not that mobile though.
Yeah, I mean
he's pretty fucking mobile.
African American.
No, but did you see his run?
He can run, but I mean, I would say Ryan Tannehill is more mobile than Jameis Winston.
I think he is as well.
I don't think he's as elusive as Jameis Winston.
Okay, well, we'll see.
I think that in the pocket, the way he manipulates it, his strength all goes into how elusive he is. He's able to shed tacklers just like Donovan McNabb. But anyway, his wide receivers.
That's not really a mobile quarterback to me.
I mean, he rolls out. He gets down the field. He can move.
He's Ben Roethlisberger type of mobile.
Yeah.
And type of rapist as well.
Yeah, it's true. I think that their wide receivers, because of their size and his ability to extend plays, might pose a problem where you see some of the Eagles players, some of the really bad ones like Chris Marigas, E.J. Biggers, they get lost if the defensive line doesn't get home. And I just think it could be an issue. Obviously, I don't think that's a game we should lose, but they have 2 decent running backs, and I think that the Lions have no running backs. I don't think they'll get 20 yards rushing in that game. I can't see them getting past our wall defensive line. So they're going to literally have to throw the ball 60 times, and that just plays right to the Eagles' strengths, which is vertical passing, picking off passes, getting to the quarterback. So this is my take.
I think the next 3 games are all games they should win, and they're the better team, but sometimes they don't show up and play as well as they should. But they don't have the room to play down the opponents the next 3 games because they've dug themselves a hole.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you why I think that they'll lose to the Dolphins, and the reason is there is literally none. It has to be an act from God, literally, to make this team lose to the Dolphins. I don't think the Dolphins are good at any capacity. They just lost Cameron Wake.
They don't have much of a pass rush.
They struggle.
Front seven's so weak.
So weak, and that is like
with Domkin Sue.
Now, the only thing I can say, it would be self-inflicted wounds. So, Bradford turning the ball over, stalling drives. Like, the Eagles are a lot like a snowball, and each game's its own thing. So it doesn't really matter who we're playing. If we can't get going, if the engine never starts, we can lose to any team in the league. But once the ball gets rolling a little bit and those running backs start picking up some steam, you saw the Cowboys were hoping that lightning struck them dead on a few of those drives so they could put out of their misery.
Hands on their knees the whole time. Greg Hardy looked tired, like he just beat the shit out of a woman.
Yeah, that's true. So I think that the Eagles should win, but I think they lose. But we all know. I have to say that. It's part of my brand. Also, how big of a loss is Jordan Hicks going to be? The other two, all the three linebackers can't really stay healthy. Najee Good is a drop-off, but if he has to fill in for a play or two, that's fine. And Emmanuel Acho should never – he's Casey Matthews, but, you know, so special teamer basically. So that could be a really big drop-off or a really big injury in terms of the ability to get guys set, to make smart decisions, keep gap control. You know, a lot of times Kiko Alonso and Michael Kendricks, for all their athletic gifts, they're not exactly the smartest guys in the entire world.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, it sucks because Jordan Hicks was probably our third best defensive player this year after, I'd say, Cox and Jenkins. But if we had one position where we were really deep, it's middle linebacker. So that's the only positive I can take out of it. He's been so big for us. He's made so many.
It's a positive, and also, you know, as much as, you know, as well as Jordan Hicks played, he was still luxury. I mean, no one knew he was going to be that. This is what.
Yeah, this is true as well. We didn't even know he was going to play at all.
So if those three guys that are playing middle linebacker can't play, you would have been fucked all season if you didn't have Jordan Hicks.
I think they'll be good with those guys. I
think they'll be decent. I think they'll be serviceable. I mean, I don't think that they're going to be lighting the world on fire. But I mean, I think that they'll be like, you know, these are the guys that had prepared coming into the season to be the guys. So they've had the reps. You know, it's just about staying healthy, really.
Yeah. You know, if D'Amico Ryans can get fully healthy, and I think that they should keep him out for a week or two, and maybe let him go maybe for the short week against the Lions. If we can rotate Good and Kiko Alonso, I'll feel a little bit more comfortable, but we'd have to stay really healthy there. Him down the stretch is going to be good. I mean, he is the one who's been teaching Jordan Hicks everything, communication. He's the guy. So it's not exactly if we're going to drop off in terms of a leadership standpoint. In fact, it's probably going to grow a little bit. I think his abilities aren't as good, but a lot of the teams we're going to play aren't exactly. It's not, you know, the Patriots, yes, but the Lions, he should be fine in that game. You know, he's a veteran enough player to figure it out. So, yeah, I agree. Also, you have to think about it this way. If we're going to have to lose, if they said, listen, what good player under defense are you willing to lose? I would say Jordan Hicks. Rookie, gluttony at the position. You know, we have just a ton of good players. And if you look at the other positions, if we lose a safety, we're dead. If we lose Fletcher Cox, we're dead. If we lose a cornerback, we're dead. Like, we're extremely thin. We don't have a bunch of Jordan Hicks hiding in. Well, maybe Eric Rowe, but we don't have a bunch of Jordan Hicks hiding everywhere that we can just plug and play, you know? So I guess I'll take it, but...
Or EJ Biggers, to that Eric Rowe point. I mean, I think he played pretty well the other night.
Well, he only played a few snaps.
I mean, yeah. I feel like when it's smaller, quicker guys, they give Jenkins a problem. I'd put Biggers on Edelman when we face the Patriots in a few weeks.
There's nothing you can do, but I agree. There's going to be nothing you can do to slow Julian Edelman down. You could fucking put whoever you want on him. It's not going to matter.
Oh, yeah.
Punch him in the dick.
I mean, it's not even so much Edelman. It is a lot more of Brady throwing Edelman open. Their rapport and their chemistry is so outstanding. It's a really hopeless battle underneath for a lot of guys. And you see, no one's been able to do it. So
yeah.
But
you just hope to slow them down. You just hope to slow them down enough, maybe force them to a couple of field goals, and that's what you can hope for against that team.
All right, so season ends today. What do? Do you keep Bradford or do you let him go?
Um, I would probably, if I had to pick, I'd probably keep him, but I try to keep him to like a short-term deal and draft a guy.
Okay. Porter?
Yeah, I think I'd do the same. I mean, I think you've seen progression. I mean, I feel like, think about it like this. The Giants game, in my opinion, was an outlier. That was a horrible game. Terrible. I mean, it was, if that's your quarterback, you don't feel good at all. But if you look at the last 5 games, with that being the outlier, it seems like he's getting better every week. And if the running game is working, he's a serviceable quarterback. He's never going to be the guy that, throws 5 touchdowns, 500 yards, but you didn't get him expecting to be that. He's doing now what you expected him to be, getting the little short routes, medium-sized routes, and then opening it up down the field. And he was 4 for 4 when throwing downfield this week. And if he continues to progress, you'd want to see more of that too.
And he was legitimately good this week. This week he looked like the guy we saw in the preseason.
I thought he was legitimately good in the Panthers game. I
thought so
don't
too.
know why everyone was acting like he was terrible.
I didn't like him so much in the Panthers game. I think he was a little gun shy. I think he wasn't as much so.
He was gun shy, but he was much better in the pocket. He was much better on getting the ball out of there, so he didn't throw it away. He had 3 huge drops, 2 of which were in the end zone. He had 1 or 2 throws that he really should have made, but overall, I felt like he was really solid across the board in that game. And I felt like he did.
And that's a good defense.
Pass game.
Great defense. Also, when he throws and when he plays and his facial expressions and everything, it is very Eli-like to me, where it's extremely meek. It's almost timid, even if he's not. It's just the appearance, I'm saying. So even when he is throwing the ball really well, every time he makes a throw, I'm like, is he throwing scared? I don't understand it. I'm just not maybe used to that style, because every time he throws the ball, it's like the mixture of his jersey and the way he doesn't bounce in and fire it in there. It just kind of goes and gets there. I'm like, does he suck? I don't know. But I think at this point, I would not re-sign him. I think I franchise him. I know that's an expensive thing to do. And if they can get away with it, cap numbers wise, then good. If not, then I don't know. But I'm not going to pretend to know. But I don't think that you lock him in for another year. I don't think he has proven anything yet. And that kind of leads me to my next point.
Luckily, we have a bunch more games to decide this. It's not. It'd be a tough choice right now. We'll probably have a better picture.
Hold on. Let me say one more thing. And in addition to having a few more games, think about everyone who has improved around him. In addition, this was the first time that he had the wide receivers actually playing decent.
Jordan Matthews played great.
Yeah, the offensive line played probably their best game of the year.
Even Dennis Kelly. I'm shocked saying that. Even Dennis Kelly played well.
I don't know what to say about it. I don't even know. Who's the offensive line coach for Stoutland, right? Jeff Stoutland?
I think so.
He should be given some type of Nobel Peace Prize, I think, for what he did. I swear to God, he took a bag of potatoes, and the Cowboys couldn't figure out how to get around him. I don't understand it. Literally just move him away. He looks like a giant penis. Anyway.
I was screaming on that Jordan Matthews touchdown because building up to that game with all the Greg Hardy stuff, I was like,
we won.
I can't be a fan anymore if we don't win this game. I need this one game.
That was the first
that play. I was screaming.
To have Hardy like an inch away from getting to him, and then just perfect ending.
All right, so you're a head coach, GM, whatever it is, and it's your first year, and you're going into a team, like the Houston Texans, we'll just call it. I would draft every quarterback in the draft. You're going to suck unless you have one. And I don't care about – I know it's – obviously you can't do this, and you probably get yourself fired by doing it. But, what's the point of drafting anybody but a quarterback unless you have one? Because if the Raiders – it doesn't matter who they drafted until they got Derek Carr. They were going to be terrible until then. If you look at the Browns, they're the Browns still. And why is that? They've had some decent draft picks over the years, actually, and they end up not mattering because
but if you're going to make that argument, you could. I mean, it's not like the Browns haven't tried to draft a quarterback.
Yeah, but it's like Brandon Whedon. Okay, it's solved. Well, you know what? Draft 2 or 3 more and let them
Brandon
all.
Whedon, Johnny Manziel. They've drafted like three.
Brady Quinn.
Brady Quinn. I'm not saying that these
Tim
guys
Couch.
are good, but get better scouts.
Yeah. Well, I mean, maybe that's easier said than done. I don't know. I'm just saying, I feel like it would be an interesting approach. I'm not necessarily advocating that, but if I saw somebody do that, take 2 or 3 quarterbacks in their first year as a GM or a coach, depending on what it is, I don't think I could necessarily condemn them for doing that. I think that would be an interesting approach as to say, like, we know what wins in this league, and we're going to go find it. And if we have to lose.
Just like when the Redskins drafted RG3 and Kirk Cousins in the same draft. That was a really good move.
I mean, listen. They had the fucking rookie of the year, all right?
I mean, yeah, but he also
broke him in half.
It's not like he was a fucking random dude.
No, I know. I'm just saying, though, like, they had themselves a quarterback. They went and ruined it because they're racist against Native Americans, and that was what happens when you get the tribal curse.
That's a good point. Why even draft Kirk Cousins in the same draft? Did you really draft your backup quarterback in the 4th round of that year?
And they had like no other picks too because they traded them all away for RG3.
Yeah.
So they got to the quarterback and they're like, oh, what else do we need? A quarterback
a little
again?
bit different, I think, because they traded so much to get him. So, yeah, I probably don't do it there. I'm saying, though, like, when Teddy Bridgewater lands in your lap, if you're the Eagles that year, take him. When Derek Carr lands in your lap that year, take him. Find out which one can play. I'm not saying this is something that should definitely happen or I would definitely do. I'm just saying I think it's an interesting approach. And if I saw it happen, I'd be like, you know, I applaud them for trying something different rather than saying, like, let's up Brandon fucking Whedon and Geno Smith is the guy. Turns out, wow, no, they're not. Amazing. But in those drafts, you have some quarterbacks that have been able to kind of find their footing. You have the Ryan Tannehills. You have the Derek Carrs. You know, there's people out there that have been able to figure it out. So,
I have a question. I said this to Jason yesterday. Is there a quarterback under 30 that you would take over Cam Newton, Austin?
Let me just say really quick before you answer that when Cam Newton smiles and has fun playing football, I have to beat my wife.
Someone just retweeted a photo of people holding up a sign and it says Cam Newton is a criminal. Go Packers.
At this point, if you don't like Cam Newton, I'm convinced you're part of the KKK. How could you not like that guy? That guy's like, look how much fun I'm having.
It's a joke sign. There's a bunch of different ones. It says internet commenters for Trump is the other sign. Ben Roethlisberger extends plays, investigate Building 7. And one is Cam Newton is a criminal. Go Packers. Oh, yeah.
Anyway, go ahead, Austin.
Derek Carr's looked pretty good. Maybe him. Maybe Russell Wilson. I'd probably, if I had to, I'd probably say Andrew Luck, even though he's having a rough year.
We were talking about this. I said I think Luck would be the only other one that I would consider now because he's been a proven NFL quarterback. But I think about it from the perspective of Cam Newton has literally no one except for Greg Olsen, and he has basically been carrying that team in every aspect this year on offense. And I know he has a much better offensive line than Russell Wilson. And Russell Wilson's kind of in a similar scenario. But at this point, Cam Newton is carrying that team, has been for some time now. And I look at every other team and I go, well, he has this. And then I look at Cam Newton and I go, how does he continue to do so much with so little?
Yeah. It's one of the things,
Amari Cooper. Derek Carr has Amari Cooper. Not that he hasn't been great. Derek Carr has Amari Cooper. Russell Wilson has Marshawn Lynch. Fucking Andrew Luck has had a solid wide receiving core across the board.
The one thing I do think about when it comes to this, though, Cam Newton had Steve Smith. Steve Smith didn't do much there while he was there. He went to the Ravens and started putting up bigger numbers. LaFell put up bigger numbers when he went to the Patriots.
He had one, because Cam Newton's sophomore year it was not very good. But his rookie year, Steve Smith was very good.
That's true. But
he had like 4,000 yards passing his rookie year.
It's tough. I'd probably lean towards Cam Newton. Luck, Wilson, and Carr are all in the conversation as well.
I'm probably taking Cam Newton, Russell Wilson, Andrew Luck, Derek Carr, and I'm thinking I'm taking Derek Carr after this year. But we'll see what happens. I think Andrew Luck is overrated, folks. I think he's going to be a great quarterback. I just don't think
all those years of us saying he was overrated is finally starting to pay off.
You know what? And it's not even that I noticed something in his game that is bad. I just think that I'm not seeing anything like when I watch Aaron Rodgers throw, even like a flick screen pass, I'm like, holy shit, did he just cure cancer? That was amazing. When I watch Andrew Luck play football, I'm never like, wow, look at him go.
It's one of the things. It's weird because he'll fall behind, and he's a slow starter, and then he's made some amazing comebacks because he can light it up so fast. So I'm intrigued by Andrew Luck. I don't know really what he is yet, but he's had some games where I'm like, holy shit, and he's had some games when he's looked like crap. But
I think his potential is probably going to increase, but right now I would probably put it at Pro Bowl quarterback.
Yeah.
Right? This is the way I look at it, and I compare, remember when it was Peyton and Brady, and Peyton was the gunslinger, and Peyton's obviously much better than Andrew Luck. I'm not comparing the two in that sense, but Tom Brady in the early 2000s, before they got Randy Moss, before they became, this offensive juggernaut, they were a defensive team that would, dink and dunk, and, they would barely beat you, but, they always did. That's how I look at Russell Wilson. I see Russell Wilson as more of that guy that keeps you in the game. He's not going to lose the game for you, but he rarely ever takes over and dominates. So and then Andrew Luck is on the other side where he's like the Peyton Manning where it's like can't really get over that hump. Obviously, I think Peyton Manning's much better, but I can't really get over that hump. Has moments where it's like he's amazing, but you never know which quarterback you're going to get. You could get a guy who throws 4 interceptions in the playoffs.
True. No, true. I mean, I think I like the fact that right now Cam Newton and Russell Wilson are going to give you more on game day. If your team falls apart, I think those quarterbacks can find a way to put it on their back and win the game based off of innate ability and talent. And I think Andrew Luck would struggle to adapt, and he would force footballs, and he would turn the ball over. That's what I think right now. And it's seemingly been proven. I know he had a kidney injury that they hit from the NFL, but I think the jury is still out just to see how good he can actually be. He's certainly, if you're saying how many first-round picks would you give up for him right now, I would say 1 million first-round picks I would give up for him right now. It's not about do I think he's good.
I think he's a very good quarterback, but I don't think that he is this number one surefire guy that we've been told for years.
And he's put up huge numbers, but he also threw a lot of picks. If he cuts down on those picks, he'll probably be great. So we'll see.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are really down on the quarterbacks, the young quarterbacks in the NFL right now, talking about the talent level. And I think everybody forgets that Brady and Peyton weren't unbelievable to the point where you were shaking to play them every week. They were really good, but they have to start somewhere. And Russell Wilson has already been to back-to-back Super Bowls, winning one. Cam Newton is still super young. Derek Carr has one of the nicest arms in the NFL. Andrew Luck's obviously a top quarterback. Teddy Bridgewater is an interesting prospect at this time. I know
he's had some good games. He has a pretty good skill set. We'll see if he continues.
If you watch him, he's very impressive. He's very. It reminds you of a lot when you saw young Aaron Rodgers when he was throwing these little, darts, and he's deadly accurate, but he doesn't really have the option to go downfield now. So we'll see.
Yeah, and Mike Zimmer's offense. It's almost like their objective is to be boring and bad. So I don't know how to judge him, really, because he seems like an idiot when he's calling plays.
And then we're forgetting one. Nick Foles threw 27 touchdowns and 2 interceptions one season.
Did you know he walked off the field with a lead?
It's amazing. It's hard to believe that he was the Pro Bowl MVP.
I actually, when I'm not getting pictures of myself being taken while I'm sleeping, I'm rooting for the Rams to win. They're my second favorite team because I like Nick Foles that much.
It's weird. It's not like he did anything for the city. I understood when people wanted to hope Donovan McNabb did really well. And even I kind of did when he came back that first time and he beat us, and I was kind of like, you know what, hell yeah, Donovan, fuck you. But, Nick Foles didn't do shit for you. Nothing.
He had one, okay season where he had, 4 good games. He's Kevin Cobb. That's who he is.
Only thing he did is he kept us from getting a real quarterback. Because if he bombs 2013, we get a quarterback the next
year. We get Carr or Bridgewater or Manziel if he wants him, but either way, we're drafting somebody.
But I also don't put that on Nick Foles' performance because they knew what he was.
Yeah.
It wasn't they couldn't have known that he could continue this fluke for an entire career.
Did
I
they?
really think it was a Howie thing because
Yeah.
Chip got rid of Deshaun, and I think Chip would have gotten rid of Foles too. But how is he can't get rid of Deshaun, Foles, and LaShawn all in one offseason?
I think that Chip was like, all right, time to clean house, and Howie was like, no way, we're successful finally. You can't do that. Listen, I actually like Howie Roseman. I think that he needs help with some scouting probably and kind of not buying into that Foles gold, but I think he's a smart guy. I'm glad he's on the Eagles. I think he's a good young mind. But Chip definitely was probably like, all right, time to move on from everyone. And he was probably like, no way. Did you see Nick Foles? He was so good. And Chip's like, not at fucking all. So, I don't know. But real quick, I just want to talk. What is your most overrated team in the NFL right now? One where you look at and you laugh when people tell them that they're good.
I thought it was the Panthers a few weeks ago, so I don't know what to say anymore because the Panthers look really good right now.
Very legit.
Yeah, they are. Very.
I know who Austin's gonna say, and I know who Jason's gonna say.
I'm not going to say the Patriots.
No, I thought you were gonna say the Seahawks.
Well, I mean, I don't think anybody thinks the Seahawks are that good right now.
True.
I don't know. I keep hearing when they talk about them, they still talk about them the same way.
Yeah.
There's no teams I really think are that overrated. I think most of the teams right now are about where they should be. I think some teams have room to grow, and some teams are going to fall off. Like I think the Vikings are going to fall off. We were talking about that earlier. I think they may still make the playoffs because they have a solid start and a good record right now. But I think they'll fall off and lose a few. I think the Bengals are pretty solid. I think the Panthers are for real. I don't really think there's that many teams where I think are that bad.
The Falcons? I think the Falcons are pretty overrated.
That was going to be mine, actually.
I thought you were going to say the Vikings, but yeah.
Well, what's their record right now? 5-3?
No, they're 6-2, I think. Aren't the Falcons are 6-2?
Let me see.
I'll look it up.
Because I think they're going to finish 10-6.
They lost to the Saints, and they lost
they look
to the
really
Niners.
bad. They look really, really bad right now. They
barely beat the Tennessee Titans. They won 7-3.
Yeah, they're 6-3.
They've lost 3 out of their last 4 games.
Wait, who else did they lose to?
Saints, Bucks, and Niners.
They lost to the Bucks?
23-20, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
And this is their schedule. Ready? Vikings, good defense. Bucks on the road. Panthers on the road. Panthers at home. Saints at home. It's not like they got an easy schedule. They're gonna have to go against fire and ice to end the season.
They might miss the playoffs at this point. I didn't realize.
I think they're going to finish at like 10-6. So 6-3 right now. I think they finish 4-3, which is about where I think they really are. Probably get the 5th or 6th seed. And if the Eagles face them in the first round, I'd be happy with that matchup.
The only team they really blew out was the Dallas Cowboys. They went 39-28, and the Texans, they blew them out. But in the first 2 weeks, they won by a combined score of 6 points, and with the Eagles and the Giants. The Redskins, they only beat them 25-19, and they beat the Titans 10-7.
Yeah, 10-7. That was it. I thought it was 7.
That was their only win in the last 4 weeks.
That's really bad.
I think they're overrated. I think the next overrated team people still haven't gotten it, but here I am. I'll remind you, literally not a problem at all.
New York Giants?
The New York Giants are definitely insanely overrated. I don't think they should be considered anywhere in the top 20. I think their entire roster is literal garbage.
They all have one player on defense that would start for the Eagles. Not one.
They got fucking destroyed by the Eagles, and people are like, I think they're still the team to beat in the NFC East. I'm like, well, that's because your brain's broken. That's because you're a stupid person. That's because you are still thinking that they're able to get to the quarterback with Michael Strahan. He's been retired for years, okay? He's not coming back. They can't get to the quarterback with who's even on their line. And now Hankins is hurt. Their only good player on defense is hurt for the year.
Okay, I kind of got to get going. So.
Wow, dude. All right, so we're going to do something a little bit different. This was Porter's suggestion, or maybe it was somebody from Twitter. I don't really care, but it was. I'm just going to give it to Porter.
Thanks.
We're going to do our 5 most hated members of the media. It's local and national. I think that Twitter's probably going to fucking love this, actually. Porter, you go first, since you don't
Honestly,
usually partake.
I'm really bad with these, so I couldn't come up with 5, and I wanted to
You're the
leave
hate
you guys
war.
to the rest.
It's hard for you because you don't even know how to count, so it gets really tough.
Exactly. I'm like, what is the number 4? I get to that, and then I get stumped. But no,
Yep.
really the only 2 that I dislike, I don't even really hate them. I just don't really like them. And now I'm gonna sound like a racist, but it's Chris Broussard and Stephen A. Smith. And the only reason why is because I think they're just bad people. Like Chris Broussard with the whole homophobic thing, just opening his stupid fucking mouth. And I just can't even fathom how fucking stupid that guy is. I really don't like him as a person, and I don't like Stephen A. Smith as a person either. I guess Skip Bayless, but like I don't know, like the difference between Skip Bayless and Stephen A. Smith to me is that one is so like I've never taken Skip Bayless seriously. And with Stephen A. Smith, I remember when he was a legitimate journalist.
Yeah, he has no
2000s when he covered the Sixers, and when he was a Philly guy, and I used to read him when I was younger, and I watched him on TV, and then he has just become this crazy person defending Greg Hardy, and now he's backing off of it, and I just can't stand for anyone who would condone any sort of domestic violence or homophobia. So that's why I picked those 2.
All right. And is that it? You just have 2?
Yeah, I really can't think of any others.
I'm going to go before Austin because Austin always gets to go before me, and he takes all of my rankings. So you got to sit tight over there.
Okay.
You said Chris Broussard, and I just added him as an honorable mention. I just wanted to say this on air, so this is recorded throughout history, so that when they find this iPad, in 3,000 years, I just want to say, fuck Chris Broussard. He's a piece of shit human, and he also is the worst journalist ever. Every time Adrian Wojnarowski tweets something, 30 seconds later, Chris Broussard tweets the exact same thing, and everyone goes, "We saw that, you idiot." It's amazing how he still has a job. He's the laughingstock of NBA reporting, and he has that great picture that he says Memphis because he can't spell because he's a journalist that doesn't know how to spell Memphis. Anyway, yeah, anybody who's homophobic is a piece of shit. So, number 5, I'll tell you who she is. She's a USA Today writer, Christine Brennan.
I forgot about her.
Yeah, she went to Northwestern, and there were a lot of bad takes about the whole Penn State situation back in the day, and hers were definitely the worst.
She came into my class. I was in a sports journalism class, and she came in the day after it happened. Swear to fucking God, the day after it happened. She said that all Penn State athletics should be shut down. All this shit, and we were like, we don't even know what happened yet. And she's like, no, I read the whole thing. And we were like,
yep.
And then our teacher was like mad at us for like basically being like, why are we jumping to conclusions on literally every front? And she was like, no, I know. And like, I was like, fuck this person. I didn't even know.
Horrible.
There was like 15 people in the class, and we were all like, you're a fucking idiot.
She solely pushed her football agenda. Like, she didn't like the fact that Penn State had this clique, which I don't like either, but Penn State had this football clique, do any wrong, and she went to tiny little Northwestern and got bullied by Penn State's football team all the time. So she wrote all these demonizing articles. Basically, she wrote, if you went to Penn State, you're bad.
Yeah.
It's basically what it came out to. And I think that from an ethical standpoint, she's one of the worst writers I've ever seen in my entire life. I respect her less than zero. Less than zero. Which is, ironically, the same place I put Hitler. So I'm not comparing them, but...
Sorry, I actually thought of someone I hate, too. I forget his full name, that's why. But there was this guy that he fights with Oh Holy Butt on Twitter. I think his name's Danny Cannell. He used to be...
on ESPN. He's like a Florida State guy.
Yeah. Oh, I thought he was Indiana. But he... I think that's his name. I'm not sure. But he will fight with Jacob O'Holybutt on Twitter just out of nowhere. Like, he'll just like be like, he'll just like randomly tweet like that, like SB Nation is a bunch of kids and stuff and all this weird shit. Like, he's a weirdo. So yeah, that was
Danny Cannell. I feel like he wouldn't waste time. He's an ESPN guy. He's usually kept pretty busy.
Yeah.
do that, but he could.
Maybe it wasn't Danny Cannell. I'm going to look up the name now. I'm going to find him.
So number 4 is Josh Innes of WIP Radio.
That's a good one. I didn't have him.
Without poking fun at his weight, which is obviously very easy to do, he's a racist. He's a misogynist. He is empty-headed when it comes to sports. I know thousands of people that should have that job over him. He is a crybaby. The way he whines about the ratings every week, the way he attacks Jimmy Kent, the whole thing is embarrassment, honestly. And you see that as the older generation dies off, 97.5 keeps moving up. Their streaming numbers keep rising. WIP's numbers keep tanking. There's a reason for that. It's because they employ people like this that are truly terrible at their jobs. He has a show right now with Hollis Thomas. I can't imagine any less two people that I'd rather hear what they have to say. Maybe Mike and Ike. I don't know.
And Spike Eskin's on it too.
But I'm actually, fun fact about Jason AAV, I'm blocked by both Eskins and have been for a very long time. I'm actually blocked by almost all of the writers, but yeah, so Josh Innes 4. Number 3, Stephen A. Smith. Again, terrible, terrible person right now. I think he is, just from a human formation standpoint, a bad human, a defective human. And he keeps getting rewarded for it, and I don't understand why. Like, he says horrible things, and I have to believe that a lot of the people, especially the women, who do a great job at ESPN, absolutely hate Stephen A. Smith's guts. Because I know I do, and I don't work there, so I think he's wildly offensive and also an idiot. So number 2, Randy Miller. He's a Flyers writer. I think he's been let go twice and brought back. I don't know why. He is. If the Flyers lose a game at any point in the season, he's already writing about how Giroux is a terrible captain. He's one of those guys. He's one of the guys that led the charge to get Mike Richards out of Philadelphia, back when he was literally carrying all of us on his back to the Stanley Cup Finals, like an amazing captain. His articles are hilariously bad. In fact, nobody even gets mad at him anymore because his articles are so porous and so bad that Twitter just cuts him up and uses him to laugh. That's it. That's all it is. It's like a meme or a GIF, really, because nobody pays any attention to it. The only clicks he gets on his articles is for people to screenshot them and laugh about them on Twitter, which it's kind of funny. Following the same line of thinking, Sam Carchidi. I hate him because he is everything that's wrong with journalism today. He has unwillingness to learn about the game of hockey. He knows nothing about hockey. He still reports on hits. Like, it has been proven now officially that they don't matter. Okay, hits are an unimportant stat. He doesn't understand what leads to winning and losing in hockey. He a lot of time writes like Randy Miller on people the Flyers should be getting rid of and who don't have heart and all that kind of junk. And there are really qualified writers that don't get positions or get laid off because these dinosaurs in the industry keep their jobs due to tenure in the sports writing organizations. And it's just a travesty, honestly, because they could fill his position with an absolute dead dog and it would do a better job because it wouldn't produce a single story because it's dead. And that's obviously an improvement over what junk that he does. Anyway, that's my list. We'll go back down. Carchidi, Miller, Stephen A. Smith, Innes, Christine Brennan, honorable mention, Chris Broussard.
Okay. My list, number 5 is Matthew Barry. And it's not him in general, because he seems like a decent guy, but it's just the fantasy football reporters who just whenever somebody gets hurt, they're like carrying like Jamal Charles' dead body off the field, and they're like, better pick up Tarkandrick West. Like, it's just a horrible way to.
You know who's really bad with that is Brad Evans from Yahoo. Not only does that guy is a fucking idiot in general, but like people were tweeting at him today, and they were like, would you rather take Matt Hasselbeck or Sam Bradford? And he was like, definitely Matt Hasselbeck. And I was like, look, I'm not saying Sam Bradford is a good quarterback, but in fantasy, I feel like Sam Bradford is definitely a better option than Matt Hasselbeck.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I actually enjoy the fact that I don't have to think about which running back I'll pick up when one of mine dies, but, you know, I own them, so I need to know, you know?
Yeah, because I like fantasy football a lot. I just hate the reporting.
Fantasy reporting is weird. Stupid. Yeah, I agree.
Number 4 is Elliot Shore-Parks. I can't stand that guy.
He follows me on Twitter, so please don't say that.
But he's just He's just begging for attention at all times. He's such a troll. He doesn't really know what he's talking about. He's like every week he puts out a
about
list.
Maxwell?
What?
Maxwell on the final drive of the game, they were like,
Yeah.
bad calls or not, the Eagles spent $60 million on Byron Maxwell. So I tweeted at him and was like, do you just want him to not play defense then?
Because those are two of the worst calls I've ever seen.
I think
To blame that on Maxwell is asinine. He's an
the officials
idiot.
should go to prison for those calls. And Elliot Parks is like, I know those are the worst calls you've ever seen, but we paid this guy $63 million not to play quarterback, but to not get penalties called on him when they're bad. That is why he's getting paid.
And every week he puts out this list of quarterbacks he'd take over Sam Bradford, which is just a stupid thing to do. Like, I mean, it's obviously he hasn't played as well as we want him to, but to put out the list every week is just asking for attention and begging people to pay attention and click on your articles. When LeBron was going to be a free agent, he kept writing all these articles about why LeBron would come to the Sixers when there was no chance in hell that LeBron would ever come to the Sixers. Elliot Shore Parks is so stupid. I don't know how he got his job. Next is McShay and Kuiper. But they're just two, like Matthew Berry. I just can't stand draft coverage. Most of them don't know what they're talking about when it comes to anything. They never own up to any of the busts when they're wrong 90% of the time.
Yeah.
Number 2, he made all of our lists. Congratulations, Stephen A. Smith. Him and Skip Bayless I put because they're both stupid. They both don't know much about sports.
And they just destroyed the medium is what they did. They destroyed it in the medium.
They're paid way too much, and ESPN just got rid of Grantland, which actually did some interesting stuff, and they're paying Screamin' A. Smith and Skip Bayless tons of money to just sit there and go, LeBron's bad. No, he's good. No, he's bad. What about Aaron Rodgers? He's bad. No, he's actually good. No, he's bad. And that's what the show is every morning. I don't know how anybody watches it. It's really embarrassing.
It is.
And then number 1, it's a 3-way tie because all 3 of these people are the same person. Heath Evans, Mark Schlereth, and Mike Ditka.
Yeah.
They're all those old white guys that don't know how the sport's played anymore, but they just talk about it like it's still the mid-'70s.
Wait, I thought I was the one who couldn't count. You just chose 3, 2...
Well, they're all representing a certain medium of sports
True.
That I can't stand. But yeah, those 3 are just like, they hate Chip Kelly just because he's different.
Yeah, just because he's innovative, and it scares them. It scares them in their old baby boomer white face ways. That's what it does.
Well, Ditka's not even a baby boomer. Ditka's kids are baby boomers because Ditka's old as fuck.
Remember when he had a stroke? How sweet was that?
Mark Schlereth is known, he's a grown man known as Stink, and he's known as Stink because he urinates in his pants. I can't get over that you have a nickname because you peed in your pants as an adult. And Mike Ditka wears diapers, so yeah, fuck all 3 of those guys. I won't ever listen or appreciate one word they say. They're just so beyond stupid. I don't know how they have jobs.
I know. Every single week I tweet out their predictions for, well, not Heath Evans, because he's less than garbage, so I don't even bother looking his up.
He's like
I tweet
2,000 Twitter followers or something.
Schlereth, Ditka, Merrill Hodge, who also sucks, but I haven't really heard him lately, so I kept him off the list. And Mike Golick, I tweet him out every week because I know if they're all on the team the Eagles are playing, the Eagles are definitely getting that dub because they're about to. So. Anyway, this was fun. Eventually, we'll do some of the media members we like, but I figured we'd start with some hot takes on it.
I probably only have 2.
No, I mean, whatever. We don't want to do them now. Because we're gonna.
Okay. Well, we talked about them.
This was fun. This was a good episode.
I agree.
So, predictions? Go.
I think the Eagles win 31-17. I don't know. I just picked.
Okay. Austin.
I think, like every week, they start off slow. Dolphins get off to an early lead. I scream for Chip's head, and then the Eagles come back and win by a good, like 15, 20.
All right. Remember, I have to pick against them.
Oh, shit. Stop broadcast.
Prove my brand. And also for good luck, because that is obviously why we're doing this. But, so read into this a little bit more than what I'm saying. I think that the Eagles lose 29-16. But I don't really think they're going to lose. It's really hard this week because I really don't think they're going to lose. But I have to really, truly say it, so for the good luck to
Okay. I really have to go.
That was a good end. All right. See you guys.
All right.